Hello. As spooky October reading draws towards its close, I came across what I think is the perfect H.P. Lovecraft. The Shadow Over Innsmouth is a novella. It's in my The Call of Cthulhu compendium, all doorstopper weight of it. Now, The Shadow Over Innsmouth is a horror novella, and apparently, I'm not sure, but I believe that it is the only Lovecraft story that was published in book form during his lifetime, which surprised me when I read it, and the internet may be lying to me, but I believe. It's part of his Cthulhu mythos, and you've got its motif of malign undersea civilization. I mean, I love the undersea connection. I'm not sure how malign can really be, but, you know. It's got the same place names, including Arkham, I believe, and mythical creatures, invocation. There's that Aya Shrubnagroth, or whatever it's pronounced as. And it is a great story. I thought it was a great story. I thought it ticked all the boxes that you were expecting to be there when you read a H.P. Lovecraft. I thought I finally got that really spooky vibration that you're expecting from a horror or a ghosty story. October has had many interesting elements, but not always so much that horror element for me. Maybe I've read too many in my youth and I'm desensitized or something. Anyhow, in A Shadow Over Innsmouth, our narrator explains how, as a student, he's taking a bit of a gap year, I gather, and he's traveling around New England, and he's doing it on as little money as he can. So he reaches a particular town, and I think it was Ipswich, which is funny. We too have an Ipswich. I hope theirs is more salubrious. And he balks at the cost of a railway ticket to the next town that he wants to go. And the ticket officer offers him another option. The other option, which is much cheaper, is to catch this rattly old local bus that in 2 stages will take him to his destination. But he warns, this bus is rarely travelled on by locals. He himself has never been on it because he goes through Innsmouth, and no one likes Innsmouth, and Innsmouth's folk are really weird, and no one goes there, and all this spooky stuff that, as a student who's travelling around looking into history and architecture and all that sort of thing, he's really intrigued, right? So he takes this rattletrap bus and he gets into Innsmouth sometime in the morning, and it fulfills all the creepy warnings that he's heard, but he finds a young guy working in a store. It's either a general store or a drugstore. I'm not quite sure what Americans mean by drugstore, but a store, who isn't from Innsmouth. He's been sent there by his branch. He doesn't like it. But he draws our narrator a map so that he can wander around. And he's already seen a few things that creep him out. And we already know about this weird gold jewelry that's like nothing on earth. And it's got these strange motifs and underwater monsters on it. Anyway, he wanders around, and there's meant to be another bus that leaves at 8 p.m. that night. He's left his valise, such a good word. Why does valise not happen anymore? At the hotel, the Gilmore Hotel, which he's been warned is not a good hotel to stay at because a previous factory inspector had left screaming. Anyway, all this spooky stuff. He's wandering around the town, and we're hearing about it, and we've heard about this nightmare reef that lies just offshore, which is called Devil's Reef. It's great. The whole wandering around town has got that sneaking feeling of impending doom that makes you just want to glance over your shoulder because you're sure there's something there. It was beautifully written. The build-up was fun. It was all the things that I actually want from a horror story, and a Lovecraft story in particular. And there was no fluff. Impending doom is increased when he finds the town drunkard, which the young clerk had told him about, buys him bootleg whiskey and gets him drunk in an effort to hear more about the weird mysteries of town. Of course, he doesn't believe a word that the poor guy tells him because it's all coming from his drunken brain. We, as the audience, however, are far more sophisticated than that, and that we know that tales of strange rites and swimming out to the Devil's Reef and odd creatures. It's all true, but he doesn't. So we get to watch there going, no, no, don't do that. Well, he wanders around. He gets back to his hotel in time to catch the bus, but is told after several spooky occurrences that the bus has a fault and now can't continue on. So he's stuck paying for a hotel room at the Gilmore overnight. Creepy things happen. This is a marvelous story. There's the escape on foot through the marshes from the town. And Lovecraft totally delivers for us here, because we do have that creeping horror. We do have the desperate escape from town, which we know that all the way that our protagonist has survived because of the front piece where he tells us what the resolution of this whole thing is. So there's no real spoilers in here. The first paragraph tells us the things that happened in town and later reveals that he was the reason they happened. So we know that he's escaped to tell the authorities, and the authorities have acted. But all this creeping escape, which gives you all the right spooky vibes and all the right mystery vibes, yeah, so good, so good. And then Lovecraft gives you a second punch right in the sternum, because even though he's escaped and he's made it back to his family and he's back at college and he's studying, he starts tracking his genealogy and he finds mysterious and spooky connections between his family, his maternal grandmother, and Innsmouth, and he's horrified by what he finds. Fantastic story. I think in terms of actual pure spooky October-y things, this might well be my top one for October. And enjoyed it thoroughly. We're nearing the end. I might not get too much more out of Cthulhu and Lovecraft for this month, but it certainly picked up my enthusiasm to keep reading. Now, this was an interesting book for me because I got it on audio as well. So I've been listening to it in the car during commutes, as well as reading it with my eyes here. And the narrator for this one is absolutely fantastic. And I can't tell you exactly who he is. Now, normally my books come from Blackstone Audio, in which case the narrator was probably William Roberts. However, the image on my audiobook looks more like the image that's presented by Phantom Films. I don't know how Phantom Films has an audio, but the internet thinks they do. And if that's the case, it's a different narrator. Ryan, where are you? Ryan something. Ooh. That's very embarrassing. I found an excellent narrator after several quite poor narrators, and I can't even tell you who. Here we go. Phil Reynolds. No Ryans. So we've either got Phil Reynolds, and I'm inclined towards to think that that's him, or William Roberts. And with the audiobook cover, you've got this wonderful image. It's just spectacular. It's of a man in a proper dress suit with a tie, only his head is this green, bulbous sea monster thing. And the moon behind it. Fantastic. I would hang it in the wall in a second. So, The Shadow Over Innsmouth, great, great novella. So glad I read it. If nothing else Spooky October had done for me, then this was worth it in itself. Thank you very much for watching. Read good short stories and novellas.